Welcome to Help, I Have Kids. I'm your host, Pam Marshall, a mom of 5 and a pediatric occupational therapist with over 35 years experience. This podcast is designed to equip you with practical tools, insights from experts, and real-life stories. Because at the end of the day, you are the head of your child's care team. Each week, you'll hear from pediatric experts and fellow moms like you that will help build your confidence. They'll offer clarity and empower you to make informed decisions that work for your whole family. Welcome back to Help, I Have Kids. We're talking about another fun topic today. Every time we're talking about fun topics. And I bet you're in the middle of summer and you're in the thick of it right now. But we're talking about the term sensory processing. And I have my friend Kelly back with me today.
Hello, I'm glad to be back.
I'm so glad you're here too. So Kelly is a doctor of occupational therapy, and she's here to talk about this fun topic of sensory processing.
Yes.
So we're all sensory humans. Do you have a fun sensory quirk that you do?
My fun sensory quirk is when I have a really hard day, I come home and I lay on the ground and I have my husband dead weight lay on top of me. And I can just go,
you love deep pressure.
I love the deep pressure. Yes.
I'm same. So there's some times where I do the same thing. I lay on my stomach and have my husband on a hard floor and have him lay on top of me. I love that deep pressure.
Yes.
Another one I do is I had a silk blankie as a baby.
Yeah.
It has silk edge, and I still have a blanket with a silk edge. And when I'm really stressed, I like rubbing the silk between my fingers.
Yeah.
And that's a sensory thing that calms me.
Absolutely.
So I still have a blankie. It's so funny.
I love that.
And I used to be like, I had to take it with me if I went on vacation. And
yeah, it gives you that comfort, that
it
little
does.
piece of home. Yeah.
Now, not so much. And I've had to sew them or have friends help me sew them over the years. That's very funny. But we're all sensory. So we're going to dive into what does sensory processing mean and how does this apply to you, moms, and your kids? Like, how can it help you with them? It's sort of a buzzword lately, but tell us, in your own words, what does sensory processing mean to you?
To me, to really simplify it, it's just how we experience the world and then how our brain and body reacts to the experiences we're having.
It is. We have all kinds of sensations. And, lots of moms, you think about the ones that are obvious, like we see, we hear, we smell, we taste, we touch. But there's some that we don't think about, like in our muscles and joints, and in our inner ear tells us where upright is. Our muscles and joints give us feedback about where our body is in space. So if we close our eyes and somebody moves our arm up in the air, we know it's up.
Yep.
But sometimes kids can't tell. They don't have their receptors and the way that's integrated into their brain processing. It doesn't work. It's like the wires aren't all connected.
Yeah.
And so they could perceive no pain or too much pain, or they can't filter out. A lot of us, I know, have certain ways we like to study. Some people like to put headphones on and have music going. Other people like to be in a noisy coffee shop.
Yeah.
Other people are really distracted if they went into a restaurant or a noisy coffee shop. Sometimes we have to be really, really quiet. I know when I was in college, my favorite place was in the middle of the stacks of books in the library. Because if you've never been to the stacks, we called them, it's deadpan quiet. It's like, when you go outside, it's a fresh, really deep snow and everything's just quiet. It's like that. So quiet.
And I'm the exact opposite. I'm like, I need enough in the background that there's something, but not too much to distract me.
Not too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like different because I like the really quiet. And then there's times that I want to be in the noisy because it zones me in.
Yes.
Like makes me hyper-focused. So we all have these little sensory things that we do. Some people jiggle their foot while they're talking or tap a pencil or, some people really enjoy working on a walking pad or things like that. We think about all the different ways we operate. So what does it mean? What does it look like? It's a buzzword, this sensory processing. What does it look like in children? And how does a mom know that their child might have trouble with this? What does that look like?
So a lot of times I think we hear the word sensory and we're like, oh, we have to like give them more, take away this. And we're all going to have kids that have meltdowns. I have meltdowns and I'm 31 years old. So it's a typical thing of life. But the biggest, I think, differentiating factor between, okay, this is normal behavior, normal development versus, okay, there might be something else going on, is if it's truly impacting day-to-day life. So if you always have to buy the same brand of socks because they will not wear another one, and if you put another one on their foot, they completely lose it. You're having to cook a separate meal for them because they can't tolerate anything that you put on their plate. They're constantly running in circles and can't sit on a stool for more than 20 seconds at a time.
Stripping their clothes off.
Stripping their clothes off. Yes. So really, if it's impacting and you're finding you're having to change to kind of modify and mold to what they're doing.
Yeah, that's a good description. I think of it too as output, like what a child is able to do, their output, how they're able to go about the everyday life for their age, whether it's just their sleeping, their waking cycles, their eating, their play, their just the rhythms of their day and the things they're participating in. If it's really interrupting that, it's time to get help. And don't wait, because I've had moms that came in to see me over the years, and you have those moms that come in and they're just crying. They're like, why are they melting down 25 times a day? I'm counting how many times. I don't know what's setting them off. I don't know what's going on. And that's a tell sign that your child is letting you know they're not okay.
Yes.
And it's beyond what you can do to help them. So it's time to get help.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's not behavior. Some people think it's behavior. Behaviors develop because a child does have a sensory processing problem. Then behaviors can develop from that. Or there can be an underlying medical. And we've talked about those. We do have an episode where we talk about PANS and PANDAS and things like that.
Yeah.
But even if a child's going through that, they need intervention for sensory processing, because that's what's kind of setting their system off. So there's a difference between, like, let's talk about the different types of sensory processing, whether they're sensory seeking versus they're under responsive. Let's talk a little bit about that.
So a lot of times they tend to go hand in hand. If we're seeking in one area, we're typically under processing or avoidant in another. So when we say that we're seeking input, think about the kids that are constantly moving, always running, the rough house, the little phrase of boys will be boys. Sometimes it's more than boys just being boys. Right. They shouldn't be jumping off of play structures 50 times in a row. Or
when you hear a mom say they're always on the go.
Yes. They never stop moving. Yep. So those are your seekers. Their body's getting input, but their brain isn't processing through it appropriately because they want more, they want more, they want more. Your avoiders is oh my gosh, I felt this tag in my clothes, I have to take it off. Or nope, I'm not going to go step down those stairs because that's too much for my body to handle. I can't do it. So those tend to be more of your little slow movers, or kind of, we're just going to sit in a corner and be quiet. But with that being said, with the different sensory systems, you can really be seeking a ton of deep pressure, but really avoiding any type of like uncontrolled movement. So they can kind of cross paths, which makes it even trickier to kind of determine what's exactly going on.
And sometimes the under-responsive kids, you can see low muscle tone because their faces are low muscle tone, their mouths a lot of times open.
Yep.
And they just process really slowly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they might be droolers.
Yep. And they start to crawl, and then they hear one little thing, and they just stop, and it's like they're they don't move for another 10 minutes
Right.
and then they start to go again. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And really, really extreme cases are kids who might have pretty severe dyspraxia. And we don't see this often where you have a global dyspraxic kid, meaning they're completely shut down in movement and language and interaction with their environment because they don't know how to process any of it.
Right.
And those kids require pretty intensive therapy and services with the right type of therapist.
Absolutely.
And I can think of, one mom that we just went all the way back through development. I think I started working with the child when the child was 3, and we went all the way back through infant development, literally all the way back through, because the only thing that child could do at age 3 was stand and stare and look around, and didn't play or interact with peers, didn't really talk to people, didn't engage, didn't just really was frozen.
Stuck.
And the parents really thought that child was going to be, a poster child for special needs. And it's amazing. Great parents. They journeyed that child through, but lots of, intense therapy too. And proud to say that child graduated from high school and went on to
love that.
Yeah. So, great things come about. Therapy really makes a big difference for kids with severe sensory processing.
For sure.
It's the difference between learning and growing and thriving and not.
Yeah. I like to kind of talk about, if you think of just development in a pyramid, at the base of that pyramid is all of your sensory systems. So it's not to say that you can't access those higher level skills, but it makes it that much easier. So for parents to kind of grasp that concept, because I get a little voodoo-y talking about this, because it's hard to conceptualize, because we're talking about things going on inside your brain, and it's harder to see. But if you think about, you woke up, you have the flu, you have 104-degree fever, and you still have to get up and go to work. You can. It's not fun. It's that much harder. You're going to be set off a lot easier. You're going to be miserable. So that's the easiest thing that I think to compare it to is you can still do these things, but it's going to be a heck of a lot easier if all of our sensory systems are working appropriately.
Yes.
And we just feel better.
Yeah. So true. So if a mom sees a child struggling, how does she know, or how does she tease it out? Is it just personality, or my child being stubborn, or is it really sensory? What is a mom to do?
So I think it goes back to kind of how we talked about if it's truly impacting those day-to-day things in life.
Yeah.
Another thing that I like to ask parents is, are you noticing a common trigger? Is it always when we have to touch something? Is it always when food is presented? Is it always we're not able to sit down and attend to something? Because that can kind of tease into, there's something specifically going on versus, okay, well, my kid's just tired, or my kid just really doesn't like a carrot. Well,
right.
You might just not like a carrot, but if it's always something that's presented time after time again, then okay, maybe there's a little more going on.
Another big one is transitions. Mom, if your kids have a tough time with transitions, you just dread getting them in the car or getting them transitioned away from whatever it is they're doing. Older kids that are, I had one 5, 6, as age 5, 6 wouldn't transition, but that child was mainly due to they were engrossed in their play, and they were very, very brilliant and smart, and they didn't want to leave what they were in the middle of. Yeah. That's different than a child having transitional problems because they're sensory overwhelmed.
Yeah.
When they're sensory overwhelmed, it looks more like crying, screaming, no, refusal, meltdown every time.
There's no reasoning, no talking them out of it. No, well, if you come, you can have a cookie. They don't care about the cookie at that point. Yeah.
And the overwhelm can also happen. I volunteered a long time in children's ministry at church, and that was a place where I saw it a lot too, where sometimes the kids were eager and excited to go, but that drop off, that connection, that disconnect from the parent, that transition was too overwhelming for them coming into the space, and they would just melt down. And it wasn't that they were going to miss their parent. Like the parent sometimes misperceived and thought, oh, it's really because it's a separation anxiety thing.
Right.
It's actually not. It was just a transition problem.
Yeah.
Like they just had trouble with that transition. So yeah, you kind of know transitional objects help a lot. Absolutely. Being able to have a little toy.
The silk blankets.
A little toy in their hand.
Yeah.
We used to call them loveys with our kids. Yeah. When they were little, they had loveys. And they would just take their little, it was like a head of a stuffed animal in a little blanket. Yeah. So it was combined.
Yeah. Yep.
And they would take their lovey with them wherever they went. So that's fun. Another thing in the summer, I think you moms may experience this, is you might be exhausted.
Yeah, that you
from
just
your
had
kid that is having trouble.
A ton of routine, and we got up every morning, and we went to school, and we did this, and we got home, and we had dinner, and then it was bedtime, bath time, and now it's summertime, and that routine has gone out the window. So those transitions are even harder because they don't know what to expect.
Yeah. One strategy you may try is keeping them in activities that keep the routine going. That's a great thing.
Absolutely.
And even if you have to create that, if it's get up, get dressed, eat breakfast like you normally do for school, but get out the door and take them to the park. Like do a routine like that where you just get up and get out.
Yeah.
And that may help. And then when you come back home, they're more regulated. They're, getting out and getting a lot of the physical activity helps too.
Yeah.
I know my favorite strategy as a mom was doing summer swim team. That was not all about learning how to swim. A lot of it was routine.
Yeah.
Just not needing to keep that routine. But also I learned that 8 weeks or so in swimming taught them more how to swim, and it was lasting change. Yeah. And they had friendships and all those good things that come out of it. That was a strategy I used. But
well, then for those kids that are seeking all of that movement and all of that deep pressure, the water gives them all of that. They're getting a ton of feedback and a ton of input, which in turn is just going to help regulate them too. So it's kind of like two birds, one stone.
Yeah, totally. And you can make up things like, call it summer camp. We're going to go to summer camp and have your own summer camp at home for those of you moms who are staying home with your kids. You can just come up with themes and have theme weeks and keep the routines going. Yeah. So research has shown that there's actually structural differences in the brain with kids that have sensory processing. Tell me about that. What does that mean for a mom that's been told, well, you just need to, discipline your child?
So to really simplify it, you have receptors, and they're all different types, but they're all over your body that are responsible for doing different things. So you get some type of input externally. It travels through, I call it the spider web, but your peripheral nerve system. And then that brings it all to your spinal cord. And then the input travels up through your brain, and your brain is in charge of telling your body what that is. So whether it's, it's just clothing, or, you fell down, your brain is in charge of figuring that out. So sometimes these structural differences, one of the biggest ones is the reticular activating system. I think about it as like a filter. So you should be able to get an input. Your brain can kind of filter through it. Big example of like you hear a car in the parking lot, the horn's going off, you tune in for a second, not mine, you put it out of your head, you move on. So a lot of times our kiddos that we're seeing with these big sensory differences, that filtering through can be really, really hard. Yeah. So they're hearing, seeing, smelling everything all at once, and filtering through can be really difficult.
those automatic flushing toilets set those kids off. That sound of
that they have no control over. So a lot of times it's some of that stuff where to somebody that doesn't have sensory differences, it comes across as, oh, okay, not a threat. But in the brains of some of these kids, it's, oh my gosh, that's terrifying. I'm not safe.
Right.
And then that's when we see those big behavioral responses.
And kids are all very smart. They're
So smart.
protecting their own body. They're a lot of it is self-protection, that fight or flight sort of reaction. So moms, when you understand that, it allows you to have more empathy toward what they're going through and realizing, oh, it's not actually, they're not defying. They're not
being
defiant.
Dramatic. They're not being defiant. They're not.
Yeah.
They truly don't feel safe.
Right. And that they need support. They need emotional regulation support. And what are the things, because I think to a mom, if they know their child has something going on, what in the world will therapy do to help? And how will it help them parent a child?
So a lot of the times we, as great moms, protect our kids because this really sets them off. So we're just going to avoid it. We're not going to do it. And that's great because just like the kids protecting themselves, you're helping protect your kids. So that's wonderful. But then in therapy, we're going to help work through those so you don't have to protect them or feel like you have to avoid doing certain things. And we're not going to necessarily, sometimes I guess for like a school setting, we may have to teach some like compensatory strategies, but like in the outpatient setting, we're really working through those neurological changes, helping make those connections. So then when that experience happens, we're not in fight or flight anymore. It's, oh, okay, I can handle that and kind of move past it.
Yeah. And so what that might look like for a mom at home is maybe they learn that putting headphones of classical music on in a chair quietly alone is a calming way. Like do that instead of turning the TV on and having loud kid cartoony music and sounds, and like avoid that and put something calming on. That's an example. You'll learn what's a calming strategy for your child, for their specific needs. And then if your child like is slow to wake up and they're like a turtle and you need more arousal or more waking up because you got to get them going a little faster, those slow moving kids, you learn what brings them up. Yeah. And then you also learn most kids, you do not want them jumping on a trampoline at 8 p.m. when their bedtime is 8:30.
Right.
Like, you learn that, oh, no. Jumping straight up and down on a trampoline is like drinking coffee. It's the same arousal. Wakes your brain up. You're like, so you wouldn't give your kid a cup of coffee at 8 p.m. and try to put them to bed at 8:30. Right. So you learn these things that linear is calming and vertical, stay away bad. That's very, very alerting.
And like how to take those things and combine them into the routine you already have.
Right.
Because I think that's also a big thing is you think about it, it's like, oh, it's something else to do, but we're really great at what we do. So we can be like, oh, well, instead of you carrying kid to the bathroom, maybe you're having like a bear crawl race on the ground. So they're getting extra input, but you're still following that routine that's already in place. So that just makes it flow into that day-to-day life even easier. Yeah. And, sometimes moms, we decide things based on our own internal perceptions. So our own sensory preferences or our own understanding, or sometimes we have a need to be needed by our kids. So we might enable them in a wrong way or a negative way. And I think sometimes therapy can help you learn that. It exposes that a little bit. And if we're willing as moms to really look inside of us of why are we reacting the way we're reacting? Why are we doing the things we're doing? Why are we overprotective of our child or something like that? Yeah. You begin to face those things, hopefully,
and make some changes that actually are helpful for your child.
Yeah. And I think one of the best ways to kind of think about that is because it changes with age.
Yeah.
It's great for your infant 2-year-old, 3, 4, 5 to want to come cuddle you and like sit on your lap and love on you. But if we're not helping kind of shape these things and fix them early, do you want your 16-year-old to sit on your lap and cuddle and play with your hair and put their nose all over your face?
Right.
Probably not. At least not consistently every day.
Well, you may want that as a mom, but is that right for your child?
Right.
No.
Yes. Yeah. So just kind of thinking about it that way too, from, okay, this is cute now. This is why I could never be a speech therapist. I would never fix my kids saying something the wrong way.
Right.
Because it's cute.
So cute.
Yes. So I think keeping that in mind too of, okay, it's great now, but in 7 years from now, what is that going to look like?
Let's talk about summer, because summer has a lot of sensory triggers, and moms, I don't know about you, but I loved having my kids home for the summer. I could not wait till school was out. Just the getting up in the morning and early and all of that. And it's still good to have routine, like we talked about earlier, but it was packing lunches. Oh, it's exhausting. Just all the stuff that goes along with packing bags and packing lunches and unpacking and repacking and throwing gobs of trash out from school and that kind of stuff. Like I just loved the summer. Loved that transition. I was ready for him to go back to school at the end of summer, but I welcome that. But there are a lot of sensory things that come with summer, like sunscreen and sand if you go to the beach or if you go to the lake, dirt. I'm a firm believer that every kid needs to be barefoot. If you have a safe place for them to go barefoot, they should go barefoot.
Yes.
They should be barefoot.
A ton of receptors in the bottoms of those feet.
They should be barefoot. At least have time. That's up to you to decide that, but have time to be barefoot.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. But like you were saying with the sunscreen, the sand, a lot of those kids that are over responsive to that tactile input, which is that touching and feeling, they're not going to want to go to the beach. They freak out when you put sunscreen on them. They put their hand on the ground and immediately go, wipe. Like they hate all of that. And when you're outside and exposed to a lot more of those things, you can notice a lot of those kind of triggers a lot easier. Right. And then, like you said, on top of the change in routine and change in structure of things, that's throwing kids off. So
it is. And when your kid reacts strongly to something, like even maybe they're crying at the beach, they don't like the feeling of the sand, is instead of like shifting all the way over here, like, oh, we have to leave the beach, try accommodating a little bit. Or because I think sometimes when we decide as moms, oh, we're just going to avoid all these things that are hard for our kid, we miss out on the opportunity of them pushing through the hard and experiencing them. Because sometimes it's just an initial and it'll dampen,
kind of fade
over time. But if we can compromise, like spread a nice large blanket out and start there, let's just sit on the blanket and play. Eventually they're going to get their hands in the sand. Eventually they'll get exposed a little more to it. You could try putting little water shoes on their feet if they don't like how it feels on their feet. And sometimes that is a good accommodation. So if we can find these things that help them, because let's face it, kids should not rule the house, meaning their preferences shouldn't make the rest of the family suffer. We shouldn't have to leave the beach.
Right.
Because one child is upset. If we can accommodate them and allow everybody else to experience it, that's really the best way to go.
Absolutely.
And I see this with my own eyes when I'm at the beach. I see parents that are struggling with this very thing.
Yeah.
One kid is unhappy, and can you just get them out in the water for a little bit, or have dad or another family member take them a little farther out where they're not around the sand and slowly get exposed to it.
Or even sometimes as simple as, oh, you can go like this, or wipe it off. Like, because sometimes, especially if they're sensitive to it, they look at it and they start to go into that fight or flight. It's stuck here. I can't get it off. What do I do? So just showing them that it's not permanent. Sometimes it's as easy as that.
Right. So. Or they can use a towel or so many things.
Yeah. Giving them options. Ways that they can fix it themselves too. Like you said, getting a towel.
And I'm such a fan of the art of distraction. It works so good. If you can just have a fun toy or have a shovel or something that distracts them and not focusing on the thing that you're perceiving as the problem. Don't put extra focus on it. And it's the same way with food, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
If we just remain kind of chill about their overreactions to food and the things they don't like and keep exposing them to it. I keep putting the thing on the plate.
Absolutely.
Even if it's just one little piece of broccoli or whatever it is, just keep putting it on the plate. Don't take it off the plate just because they're objecting to it.
Yeah.
So, and those are the things we wrestle with, moms, in here. You know, it's how we're wired, how we're perceiving and how we're feeling about what our child's experiencing.
Yeah. And like you said, you talked about like accommodating them. And I think that's another great thing that therapy does in the therapy world as therapists. We kind of call it like graded exposure, which is just a fancy way of like accommodating, but will help you kind of walk through of, okay, you know that if you put this carrot on the plate or you put my baby in sand, they're going to lose their mind.
Yeah.
So we're going to help you wrestle with the, how do we do this so they're still getting exposed to it instead of just completely taking it away to build up that relationship or that trust with whatever they're struggling with.
Very, very true. So we can talk a little bit more about summer afternoons because moms, I don't know about you, but some of your kids that have been at school, they're not used to nap time, right? They're used to going all day long. But you can instill quiet time in the afternoons. I always called it mom's sanity time.
Absolutely.
And it is actually
you need as much as the kids do.
100%. So the little ones nap and the bigger ones have to be quiet for. We had a rule that it was a good, at least depending on their age, it was anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half. And the older ones, sometimes it was 2 hours. So they could read, they could do anything quiet, be quiet. And they just got used to it. They got used to quiet time because it was good for everybody.
Yeah. And I think keeping that in mind, especially in the summertime, you're probably playing outside or doing something and you're amped up. So when you have that transition to come back into quiet time, making sure before you walk in the door and you're like, okay, it's quiet time, giving them time to kind of decompress, do some of those calming strategies maybe. Yeah. Maybe we get a snack, or if it's 90 degrees and humid like it's been outside recently, making sure that even just from like a physiological standpoint, those needs are met. We're in a safe space, we're regulated, we're not hungry, and then that'll make that time for quiet time even more successful, is making sure.
And we OTs, we love no screens. So I would have no screens of any kind, because kids are actually brilliant. They can make it an hour, 2 hours with no screens. They can do it.
Absolutely.
And you know,
they may have to learn how to do it.
Right.
But they will get there.
They can do it. They absolutely can do it. And you never know. Your kid may have a little hobby or something they discover or pick up a summer hobby. I always loved those crafts when I was a kid. Did you like doing crafts when you were a kid?
The friendship bracelets were big.
Yeah. You can do any of those quiet activities. My kids were really into that too. The friendship bracelets. Making pot holders. I mean, all the old stuff, they have them.
Go back to the
Amazon.
90s toys.
Yeah, go back to the absolutely. Even just those little kaleidoscopes, you know, where you twirl and turn and look and just have all these things that they can discover quietly a little.
Pinterest is also great.
It is great. It is great. Yeah. Lots of things they can make and do and be quiet on their own. And it's great for your sanity. I don't know. It helped me survive for sure the summer afternoons. So understanding, to wrap this up, when a mom knows there's something going on, how or what does she do? Like, how do you seek help? And what does that look like?
Yeah. I mean, 100% expressing those concerns to pediatrician. So that way there's kind of bridging that gap to get there for us, or honestly, even calling whatever therapy office is local to you all and kind of talking through somebody there so they can help point you in the right direction of, would therapy be beneficial? Would it not? I'm going to say probably most of the time is yes. I think even now I could benefit from OT, and I am an OT. So I think it's just such a great tool to help obviously the kids with their needs, but also helping parents keep their sanity and not always having to struggle with little things in every day. So reaching out to pediatricians, expressing those concerns, and just seeking the help of whoever is local to you, of getting you in and starting those things early.
And this is what good OT looks like for sensory children, and this is what not so good OT looks like. So what should it look like? Let's talk about that first. So it should look like your child has a very thorough evaluation, and the occupational therapist that evaluates your child should give you very specific things that they see or observing about your child and teach you, what is going on in your child's sensory system, how is it impacting their everyday life, and are there functional goals we need to work on? Is it just a home program you need, or does the child really need intervention? That should be the first decision, because not all children that have sensory issues need intervention. But like we said before, if it's interrupting their development or their everyday life so severely that you can't help your child overcome, likely they need some intervention.
Yeah.
And so the goal should be really partnered with what you want, moms, what your goal is and what you're experiencing. It shouldn't be the therapist just telling you. It should be partnership with you and what are meaningful and functional goals that you can work toward. And then therapy, even though we have lots of fun equipment and swings and all these things, the therapist should be able to explain to you why you're utilizing that swing or why you're utilizing whatever activity it is they're doing. And the reason behind it. It shouldn't be just swinging for 10 minutes because, that isn't, that's not what we consider as top-notch OT intervention for sensory processing. That there's got to be an understanding, an explanation to you of why we're doing what we're doing. Yeah. And then the output, is what is your child able to do? So it's learning how to regulate. And one of my favorite things was teaching a parent how to take your child's brain arousal level really high and really low and learn how to get it just right. Because all learning takes place in the just right zone.
Yes.
The quiet alert, think about your child sitting next to you, reading a book and interacting, and they're just sitting and quietly looking at the book with you, and you're maybe having a conversation about it, and it's sweet, and there's learning happening when they're like that. But if your child can't even sit next to you, and they're running and jumping, and they
using you as the jungle gym,
right? They have no concept of how to sit and read. Now that's assuming they haven't had caffeine or a bunch of sugar or all these things. That's just a normal behavior without all that stuff.
Yes.
There might be a real problem, and you do need intervention. And so it's teaching you, how do you get your child in that just right zone so they can learn and so they can participate in their everyday activities.
Yes.
And then what not so good OT looks like is just being on equipment and not being able to explain why, or coloring or doing a fine motor activity or something like that, and not really having a reason why.
A goal, an overarching picture in mind. Yeah.
Right.
And I think also going off of that, we have all this cool equipment in the gym. You don't have that at home. So being able to, like you said, explain the why, but then also helping you give whatever input that may need to be given at home and then with what you have there.
An example would be a toddler, like when you think about a 3 or a 4-year-old, a preschooler that's really having trouble going to bed and calming down. Well, maybe you have a nearby park and you could swing linear swinging, no spinning, just swinging a good 10, 15
put them in a
minutes.
Sheet. Mom holds one side, Dad holds the other, and then you have a swing in your house.
Yeah, you do. You do.
So,
but that's an example of you could do that activity, help them wind down. The OT would help you structure an evening routine that brings about the calming and the readiness and the body getting ready to go to sleep.
Yeah,
that's an example. So we hope you've enjoyed this discussion. We could talk for hours about this topic.
I could keep going, but
there's so many things. You think about all the functional kids need to do, like brushing their teeth, and kids that won't do that and refuse that. Just how do you come alongside a mom and help? Yep. We want to help you. So talk to your pediatrician. They can help you find a really great occupational therapist who can be a part of your care team and teach you. So any last words of wisdom that you have, Kelly?
I think my biggest thing is nobody's going to know your child better than you, but we're just here to help guide you and teach to keep building that relationship.
Yeah. And we're cheering you on. You can do it. You can do it. Where you've been frustrated, maybe even angry, maybe even sad, just with watching how your child is experiencing the world and you don't know how to help, like, you can do it. You can partner with a really great therapist and learn. And there is a lot of information online as well. There's some good, I would send parents often to sensory-processing-disorder.com. It was written in parent language, and it has some nice things on there that explain some of these things we're talking about today. So thanks for being with us. Be sure to come back next Wednesday and hear the latest episode of Help, I Have Kids. Thanks so much for listening to Help, I Have Kids. If you're tuning into this podcast, that means you're a mom who's curious, committed, and ready to learn. And we see you. We'd love for you to join our Help, I Have Kids Facebook community, where moms just like you are connecting, asking questions, and encouraging each other every day. It's a space for real conversations, expert insight, and support from moms who get it, because we're all in this together. And if you know a mom who's feeling unsure or maybe overwhelmed, or just needs to be reminded that she can do it, she can advocate for her child with confidence, share this episode with her. We're building a village here, and we're glad you're a part of it.